I got this voice in my head that is loving me. What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Stuart Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33, and today's Monday, July the 25th, July the 25th of 2022, and the time is 2:45 Central, 2:45 Central. Got a powerful message today, brothers and sisters. Would you recognize yourself in the dark? Or would you recognize your soul in the dark? Answer, probably not. So we're going to break it down. So that way you will be able to recognize yourself or your soul in the dark. Today's message, like all of these messages, requires a deeper level of over, under, and understanding than the average Joe and Josephine is capable of. What we're talking about today is there's two paths. One is the broad, the other is the narrow. This is kind of like part 2 of the series that we talked about yesterday on the show, where we did breaking down narrow casting and broadcasting. To be successful, either you can be ordinary or average, or you can be above ordinary and above average. How do you be above ordinary and above average? That requires to have knowledge of yourself. It doesn't require you to have knowledge of yourself when you have a traditional 9 to 5. If you have a traditional 9 to 5, that does not require any knowledge of the self, because the job that you are doing has nothing to do with your cells. It has nothing to do with the way that you're designed, the way that you're wired. It has nothing to do with who and whose you are being and being. But if you were to, and if you do decide to pursue, like I have decided, your own individual, God-given expression, your own unique identity, your dear Kinnear, your destiny, well, that, my brothers, that, my sisters, that is the narrow path. That requires a deeper level of understanding about your own selves, your own self. And that, unfortunately, is what I do for a living, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. So for most people, they do not recognize their own self. And what I mean by that, that just simply means that when you narrow down your niche, what you're narrowing it down to a state or to a place where you are able to see something that other people cannot see. So you're able to connect with people that other people cannot connect with. So what we're talking about is called the success mechanism. So the success mechanism simply means that if you want to be ordinary, it requires no knowledge of the self. In other words, 99% of the people on the planet are ordinary. They have no knowledge of themselves. Then there's maybe 1% of the people who do have knowledge of themselves. That just simply means that their product, their service, their information, their business, their car, everything that they do is about themselves. And so what they have to do then is to study themselves. In order to have knowledge of the self, in order to recognize your soul in the dark, you really have to be able to have a specific mental portrait. Now, this mental portrait is what is different, or what prevents people from having emotional meltdowns, as we mentioned at the beginning. And to the degree that you have that mental portrait of the self is the degree that now you know the self. It is a clear and telling mental image. And this clear and telling mental image creates a very strong, permanent impression. If you have a clear and telling mental image, now remember, these are the two options that you have: broad, narrow. What we're talking about, would you recognize your soul in the dark? What does that mean? That just simply means that you know yourself better and more than anyone else. Not just attributes and characteristics. Oh, I like, my colors is red. I like Chinese food. I like tall men or short women, or like that fluff shit. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about, do you have a clear and telling? So, as we mentioned yesterday when we talked about GTA or Grand Theft Auto, the number one mission to win the game is to have a clearly defined mission. So when you have a clear image, it tells you what and who you are. If you don't have a clear image, then you are considered average. Ordinary people do not know themselves because they don't have to. They have to know their job. They have to know, the product, their service information. For example, your supervisor is not interested in your blood type. Your supervisor in your job is not interested in your personality type. Your supervisor in your job is not interested in whether you date outside of your race or not. They're not interested in whether you eat Chinese food or not. They're only interested in, did you show up to work on time and can you do your job? So they don't give a damn about your image. So there is no clear image with ordinary average people. So therefore there's no story. So you're not telling me anything. So you're not making a permanent neural network imprint. So the brain doesn't receive a electrical magnetic signal, and we'll be breaking down the science of this starting on August the 15th. So you definitely want to join us. Cost is $249. Just simply go to the website, click on the link that says donation, and make the payment for the $249 to join us on August the 15th, when we get into the science behind what we'll be talking about for really the next 2 weeks until the class starts. So there is an energy imprint, but that energy imprint is not made because your story, your struggle, your struggle doesn't lead to success because you don't have no story, because there's no clear image. So you got an image. Everybody knows their story, but you don't like telling your story. So you don't talk about your past. You don't talk about your story to yourself, not to anybody else. So I have to go back and look at my past. And when I examined my past, I realized there were some things that I buried, some things that I didn't want to address, some things that I didn't like. But then I also saw a lot of good things that are like, man, I could use that. And so to the degree that you're able to establish a proper self-image, that is the degree that you're able to then get away from the 99%, and now you're part of the 1%. Now you're no longer walking on the broad path that leads to destruction. Now you're on the narrow path that leads to what we call salvation. So this concept that everyone has is a very specific mental portrait that defines who he or she is and what he or she believes. This mental portrait is a result of your past experiences. This mental portrait is a result of your past failures and your past successes. This mental portrait that allows you to see in the dark is a result of your feelings and your behavior. So as a result, this mental portrait, if it is clear, you can see in the dark. If that mental portrait is not clear, then you stumble in the dark. And so therefore, you depend upon and you must build a personality that's totally separate from your true authentic person, because you can't see the true authentic person because you don't want to look in the dark. So everything that you want is in the place where you probably least want to look. See, most people let their past experiences define them in a negative way. So I took my past experiences and now they defined me in a positive way. So I do the same thing that you did, but I have an internal process that's different. So I have this internal process. So when I have a feeling, I look at the feeling and I say, no, not today. Why? Because I had that feeling before and it caused problems. So I don't deal and process my story and my struggle with a strategy that leads to failure. I take my story, I take my struggle, and I got a strategy that leads to success. Those are 4 S's of my story, my struggle, my strategy, and my success. So what you're missing is the strategy, like we talked about with Grand Theft Auto. So the strategy comes from the clarity, so you don't have to make it up. See, my strategy is my clarity of myself. What is my strategy? Well, for some reason or other, I just love exposing lies. For some reason or other, I just love exposing the truth. It's weird. I wish I could explain it. I can't, there's no words to explain how my brain works. My brain doesn't work. I haven't met anybody that their brain and my brain works the same. I've talked to people who are similar, but I haven't met anybody whose brain, when I say brain, I mean that, remember you have your mind, but your brain, that's your computer, that's your central processing unit. Everybody's computer, some of you guys got a Mac, some of you guys got a freaking, Apple, some of you guys may have a Microsoft. Again, I don't know what the spiritual equivalent would be, but everybody has a central processing unit. Now, your central processing unit is different from my central processing unit. And that central processing unit is the main electrical magnetic processing device for executing instructions. So a CPU is just a basic, input, output operating system. That's it. So it's the brain of the computer. So what it does is it takes input, it stores data, and then it outputs the results. So the CPU is the main processing unit. It processes data. So the CPU, however, could not run if it didn't have a software program. So it not only does it need the hardware, it also needs the software. You are the same way. So your strategy is your software and your hardware. My strategy, my software, my hardware is different. In fact, it should be, because no two people on earth, even twins, if they were, I've never said of twins who had the exact same name. But let's say if they did, they were both male, they both had the same name, they both was born at the same time, same date, same place. What if everything was identical? They still would be different. And that's the key. So the key is the individual expression of the soul. Sorry about that. So what does that mean? Well, some people study their job more than they study themselves. Everybody who studied their job and they know their job, they know their church, they know their religion, they know the Cowboys, they know the entire cast of Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta. But when you ask them about the details of themselves, they have no strategy. So my strategy is simple. When I wake up every morning, there is a sense of right and wrong. There's fact and fiction. So I know, for example, the earth is not round, regardless of how many people say that it is round. Because I know right now, no matter what direction you travel, and eventually you hit an ice wall. That was already proven by Admiral Byrd. Now you go back to the text before 1611, all maps were flat. If you go and look at the UN logo, that is the original map. But Copernicus came along and changed everything, and the church adopted it, the Catholic Church adopted it. So I have a clear and telling mental image, because I'm a 6, or 336, I should say. But 6, it means lover of details, not lover of beauty. But beauty comes from details. But that's not even it. I'm born between August the 22nd and September the 22nd. that makes me a detailed, constant expander. So let me give everybody your soul. You should write this down. This might save your life. From the perspective of what? You got to go get a 9 to 5. And if you already got a 9 to 5, you could walk off your 9 to 5. If you just be able to recognize your own self in the dark. Nobody can do that. Nobody knows themselves on the level where they can actually promote themselves so that they are actually prosperous. Oh, thank you. To themselves. What does that mean? Well, nobody's going to buy nothing from you unless you can tell me your story. So if you sit down and you tell me your life story, right? And you're like, man, I did this, happened, that happened, blah, blah, blah. So when you tell me your life story, what happens? If my life is similar to your life, we have a connection. If my life is not similar to your life, then I'm going to have either sympathy or empathy. I'm going to feel sorry for you. I'm going to be like, damn, that happened to you? Wow, my heart's going to go out to you. Or I'm not going to be able to relate. I'm going to be like, man, this fool is blowing smoke up my butt. I don't know, did that really, really happen? So when you tell me your story about your struggle, not your success, your struggle, inside of your story, there is the strategy. But it's hidden inside of the struggle. And the way that you can be successful instead of operating in failure is if you, for example, let's go to the zodiac sign. If you are an Aries, that means that you are what they call a charming achiever. I can understand Aries a lot because of charming, but you got to be careful because charming is one letter away from harming. So a lot of charmers are harmers. So I'm a charmer. So I just got to make sure that the way that I'm charming you is not harming you. How do you do that? You have to deliver on the charm. You just don't blow smoke up people's butts. Now, once you know that, okay, this is your soul's urge. Your soul desires to express, expose, and expand itself in this frequency, this wave, or this definition. Aries. So Aries is the ram. And if you look at the ram, that tells you all. That's why, again, they are what is called overachievers. If you're born from March the 21st through April the 20th, you are a Aries. And that means that you are the charming achiever. So that's what you got to see in the dark. So if you close your eyes, you should see yourself as being very charming and see yourself as being an achiever. If you Taurus the bull, April the 20th through May the 2nd, you're stabilizing. That means when you close your eyes, you see yourself as a person who's able to stabilize, come into a situation, and create balance. If you're a Gemini, then you are what they call a smart or witty. The exact word that is used is witty, a witty change agent. Not just a regular change agent like a 5. You use your wit, your intelligence. If you're a Gemini, remember, would you recognize your own soul in the dark? The answer to that question is probably not. So why can't you recognize your own soul in the dark? What we said with GTA Grand Theft Auto 5, you've forgotten that you are not the character in the game. You forgot that you're sitting in a chair. You got a controllers in your hand. So the emotions that the character is experiencing inside the game, you should not experience because you're outside the game. So when my little bonus son is going in his room and he's yelling and screaming and he's going off, I know that he's forgotten that he's not the character in the game. It's like sports. With Super Bowl, man, when you get there and you watch your favorite team and they start winning or losing, what is your reaction? You get emotional, especially if you got money on the game. Why? You make the assumption that you didn't pay to play. You assume that you're actually in the game too. Are you in the game? Hell no. So why are you amped up? because the emotion from the game has set from 2D to 3D. So that means that you are not what is called operating in your success mechanism. So as I said in the beginning of the show, your success mechanism is the mental picture that is clear and telling. It's so clear, it talks to you. So I get my instructions not from men, not from shows, not from books. I get my instructions from me. If you listen to any reverend, any doctor, any master teacher 33, including me, more than you listen to yourself, that means that the events that means that you are not creating, as we would break down, when we break down the mycelium network and the physics that create the feelings that actually create a embedded energy imprint in your soul that overrides your current habit pattern. Your negative habit pattern, that shit that you do every day, that you can't stop doing, that's your automatic pattern. That's your ANS. Well, we're going to override it. Because now we have something that creates a permanent energy imprint in the soul. That is a clear and telling mental image. Now, this is just not, it's not just some shit that you just, saw on Facebook. This is now a specific mental portrait of the self. So that way, the past experiences that define your life in a negative way, now those same past experiences, now they define your life in a new strategy or successful way. So this mental distortion that you have can be overcome with coherence, which we're going to break down with phase conjugation. And we're going to bring about an implosion instead of an explosion. All your energy stays within. So now there's no more mental distortion. So by adopting a brand new method of defining oneself and living your life according to that new portrait, mental portrait of the self, you are able to create a new construct, a new image, one which resembles your highest possible good. See, what most people fail to understand is that every one of us was born for success. Every person on this call, you were born with an internal greatness. It's just there dormant. That's why you only use 10% of your DNA, 10% of the brain. The other 90% is just sitting there. It's like in the movie Limitless. Right now you're limited. You're supposed to be limitless. So you have to unleash your potential. And the way that you unleash your potential is for you to get out of your, what we call, comfort zone. Take risk. By doing what? Number one, change your words, because you're not a human. Stop disrespecting yourself by calling yourself a human, an individual, and all of these low vibrational terms like all the shit that you used to do. You're not that person anymore. Inside of you, regardless of your own opinion of yourself, lies the ability for you to change the globe and to change yourself. I don't give a shit what you think. So number one, get rid of your own opinion and everybody else's opinion that doesn't see you as a god and a goddess. Because inside of you lies the dormant potential of Yahushua the HaMashiach, or the Pleroma, or the Pleru, or the Big G, or whatever term or label you want to use. But you got to do what? You got to de-hypnotize yourself. You got to unlearn all the shit that you've learned in your life. And how you do it? Imagination is the key. If you don't understand nothing, your brain doesn't distinguish imagination from reality. That's the only thing that you got to know today. All the shit that you've learned is garbage. The only thing that's important is your brain doesn't distinguish imagination from reality. The brain does not know the difference between real and fiction. Now, if you can understand, now we're going to break down the science, the physics of it, starting on August the 15th. But for now, you need to understand and do all the research. I got $100,000 if you can prove me wrong. Start with Dr. Bruce Lipton. Starts with Royal Raymond Wright. Go back to 1730. Research Jethro Cost. Go all the way back to Egypt. Research the 7 hermeneutic laws. Look inside of your Bible. Where the centurion soldier comes to Jesus and asks him to heal his daughter. He says, I command soldiers. I am a leader. And if you tell me, I will believe it. And Jesus stopped and says, no greater faith have I seen. Because he said, you don't even have to go and lay hands on my daughter. Just say the word. Because he understood the power of belief. It is done unto you as you believe. So if you could believe, well, what are we supposed to believe? Well, you're supposed to believe that clear image that's called the soul. The soul is made up of the mind, the will, the emotion, the imagination, and the intellect. So can you see your soul in the dark? Remember, brothers and sisters, everything I'm talking about is called narrow casting. That is the new term that it's not out yet, but it's coming. You need to know that term. You need to expand that term, and you need to live by it. Otherwise, you got to go with a job, and the jobs are drying up. Unless you just want to work in a fast food restaurant. The real jobs, yeah, livable wages, it's rare as an albino tiger now. So that means that you got to do something called clever marketing, or what I do. What do? I know myself, my strengths, and my weaknesses. In fact, you should know your flaws more, because your flaws, that's your cause. So I make money off my flaws, not my successes. My flaws is the fact that I am a carer. That means that it's used as a weapon against me. I'm a Virgo. I'm born in September. So I am the constant, detailed expander. I don't take no days off. That's my flaw. It's also my strength. Your flaw and your strength are the same thing. Nothing about that total. Now remember we said Aries is the charming achiever. Taurus is the stabilizer. Gemini is the witty change agent. Cancer is the comforter. Leo is the leader of the pride. Virgo is the constant, detailed expander. Libra is the balancer. That's totally different from the stabilizer for Taurus. Libra is the scales of balance. Taurus is the stabilizer by stab or bullying people. Totally different. Totally different. Totally different. Scorpio, the patient achiever. Ooh-wee, ain't that an oxymoron? How many Scorpios you know that are patient achievers? Well, what's the dark side of that? The opposite. Remember, there's two sides of these. So remember the attributes, and then we're going to talk about the dark side because that's where your money is at. Because you got to do what? That's your strategy. Scorpio, the patient achiever. Sagittarius, the life partaker. Party of the life. What's next? Capricorn. Capricorn, the climber. Love to climb tall mountains. That means that you just take on shit that nobody else can do. And you're like, shit, I can do it, Doc. Okay? Go climb that mountain, homie. Aquarius, the water bearer, out of the box thinker. That's what Aquarius means. Look at this. Aquarius. You think outside the box. That's why we're in that age of thinking outside of the box. I love Aquarius, man. It's powerful. My son is an Aquarius. Pisces, the intuitive visualizer. That's the most dangerous one of all. February the 19th through March the 21st. Why? The intuitive visualizer. They live in their head. They got all of these images in their head. Those are the people that usually get labeled with mental uneasiness. So once again, Aries, the charming achiever. Taurus, the stabilizer. Gemini, the change agent. Cancer, the comforter. Leo, the leader of the pride. Virgo, the constant, detailed expander. Libra, the balancer. Scorpio, the patient achiever. Sagittarius, the life partner. Life partaker, Life partake, to partake in life. Capricorn, the climber. Aquarius, out-of-the-box thinker. Pisces, the intuitive visualizer. So what I just gave you is your glasses, like in the movie Free Guy, so that way you can see in the dark. So if you could, and you can do it. I got faith in you, homie. That means that you can pick up the glasses and put them on. Remember in the movie The Free Guy, his best friend, he was shaking, laying on the ground. He's like, I can't do it. He could not put on the glasses. That allows him to see. That simply means that, like I was telling you guys about, I shared a TikTok video too. I can't remember the story. Anyway, they were just talking about the story when these people were sitting in this room, they was watching a film, and they were sitting in the shadows, and they believed the shadow was real because it was a projector, kind of like the Wizard of Oz. You know, the Wizard of Oz, the guy go back there, they go behind the screen, they see the wizard, the little short dude, and he has a projector. Long story short, it was all a lie. So there's this Greek story that talks about the people that was inside of auditorium and they was watching the screen. They was born inside the auditorium. They never left the auditorium. They lived their entire life inside the auditorium. All they did every day was watch the screen. So they said their belief systems, everything was based upon the images on the screen. One of the guys in the auditorium decided to stand up and go behind the curtain. And he saw a guy playing or shining a light. And what they were seeing as real is a shadow. Now, this is very important. Very, very important. Because my name in Hebrew, Bethesda, that's what it means. It means shadow walker. It means in the shadow of God. So the earth is a shadow of God. That's why with Moses, when Saul wanted to see God's face, as you could say that term, God hid him in the cliff, and he showed him his hind parts, his shadow, his back parts. He couldn't see him face to face, as the story goes. So everything is called, the word is called S-K-I-A in the Greek, or S-K-O-N-O-S, skia and skinos. Those two words mean shadow. So this world is a shadow of something else. But we all believe the shadow. If you get your ass up and walk around behind the curtain, you don't see the real thing that's casting this shadow. Your life will never be the same. It's like in the Matrix, whatever about the red pill, blue pill. I don't believe you. Read the Gospel of Thomas. Or do what I do every day. See, I was born for this. I don't have a choice. Some of you guys, y'all can stay in the shadow. Me, now remember, as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm talking about ordinary people and not ordinary people. I'm talking about the difference between average and above average. If you want to be average and stay average, get up every morning, go to work your 9 to 5, get your car, 2.5 kids, get you a dog, picket fence, work 30, 40 years, retire. If you want to live the American dream, you can just disconnect from the car. There's really nothing I can help you with. Because that's the broad road. Everybody does that. I mean, just look what everybody does. You don't need to know yourself. But if you want to walk the narrow road, the road that I'm on, the road that Yahushua walks, okay, then you got to, unfortunately, you got to love yourself. And unfortunately, you got to paint an image of yourself that is so empowering that it gets your ass up off the sofa in the morning. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you want to stroke the cat, you got to have a clear image that is telling you something. So my image is talking to me. What is my image? My image is I'm a detailed, constant expander. I cannot make that shit up. I mean, everywhere I go, people tell me the same thing. That's why I was a very, very good cop. That's why I had to get out of it. I was so good that I saw that the chief was dirty. And I saw the city council was dirty. And I saw that the mayor was dirty. There had been people on the department. I remember I worked as a law enforcement for a year. And then I was gone. In that year's time, like when I worked with the homeless population, I worked with the homeless population for 3 months. I did in 3 months what they could not do in 5 years. Detail. I do shit what takes everybody else years to do. I can do it in 5 minutes. Because I don't notice what everybody else notices. That's a gift. I can't take credit for it. I wish I could. I wish I could tell you, hey man. But it's just like asking Shaquille O'Neal, how the fuck you get to be 7 feet tall? He can't tell you. He was born with it. So I got a gift. You got one too though. I just gave it to you. So based upon your star seed, your star system, that establishes your frequency, wave, vibration, or your gift. That's how you see in the dark. So you can go where the bad guys live, and guess what? You can see them. So that gives you what is called perception, awareness of consciousness. So guess what? You can't be took no more. Nobody can count. You know what's working and what's not working. You know what people will buy and what people won't buy. How do you know? Because you have an internal guide. The Bible calls it the Ruach or the Pneuma, the Holy Spirit. The Bible says that the Holy Spirit will lead you and guide you in all truth. Everybody got one of those. Now, the $1 billion question is, are you listening to it? It, her, him, whatever you frequency, wave, vibration you want to put on it. Don't get hung up in the non-essentials. That's another sign that you still batting for the wrong team. People love to argue and debate over shit that doesn't matter. I just say, talk to me about your light bill, man. If the shit that we're talking about today is going to help you pay your light bill on Friday. If not, I don't want to fucking talk about it. Everybody's talking about stuff that doesn't matter. I don't want to debate, to talk about nothing, and it's just putting money in my pocket. That's why I always have money in my pocket. Because I understand the channels of divine power. I understand the consciousness of God. I understand that everybody on this call, you got to rise above your current situation. You have to be able to convert energy into what you and I call matter. Because thoughts are universal. Thoughts are perceived, they're not created. You're not creating those original thoughts. You don't have thoughts. You're a computer. You receive them. So some thoughts are taking you away from your destiny. Some thoughts are taking you towards your destiny. But we got a conundrum. What is the conundrum? The conundrum is that you're having thoughts that ain't got shit to do with those words that I gave you. So what do? Well, you stop having them. But we can't. Why? Because they just come. So what do? Well, you do what I do. Do you know that most people focus on the things that they're trying not to do more than the things that they're trying to do? The brain, we're wired by nature to avoid pain instead of experience pleasure. Do y'all know that? You're wired, according to Maslow's theory and all these other scientists, you are trying to avoid something instead of trying to gain. We are programmed to see the glass half empty instead of half full. So you got to reprogram yourself. So that's what I do for a living. I call that clitonomics. That's called behavior modification. So everybody on this call, you have a conundrum. And the conundrum is the dark side of the gift. So that's what you got to know, the dark. So the one that's the most interesting to me is Scorpio. Now Scorpios, and there's like at least 5 different astrology charts. The one that's most prominent. If you're born between October the 23rd and November the 22nd, it's a very, very interesting time period. because that is the patient achiever. Except the scorpion is known for stinging. And Scorpios are known for their temper, their anger, their ability to have this rage that just comes over them. These are the ones I know. But yet that has nothing to do with their soul. But that is the dark side of the gift. So what is the opposite of each one of these? Because that's why you are today. So you have a story. That story is you are operating in the dark side of your gift. That causes you to struggle. So now today I'm giving you a strategy. So that way you can get out of failure. And that way you can operate in success. The strategy or the stratagem is actually inside of the mess. The mess contains the message. So we go back to the top, and Aries, the charming achiever. The opposite of a charmer is a harmer. The opposite of an achiever is a destroyer. So all the Aries I know, most of them, I mean, look at y'all know who Aries was. It's God of war. Goddess of war, if you will. Whatever. What does that mean? Like to tear up shit. So when I meet an Aries, I already know that they're programmed. We're talking about the program now. We're not talking about the person. We're talking about their life experiences has set them up. If you want to use that term. To live a life that is devoid of their true God-given power. So what do? You got to harmonize it. That's the strategy. What is the strategy? Well, the strategy is the fact that you are, if you're an Aries, instead of charming people, you're real short, you're real black, you're real aggressive. You just tell people like it is. Because really deep down inside, you're getting tired of people taking advantage of you because you really are a nice person. You really are a charmer. And you really are a high achiever. You really do get shit done. But the problem is when you're not seen, when you're not valued, when you're not respected, when people can't see you, how come they can't see you? See, people can only see you the way you see yourself. So anytime I have a problem with somebody seeing me, I know it's a problem with me. So what I do, I go back and I make myself brighter. How do I make myself brighter? By exhibiting more of my natural attributes and characteristics. Stop being fake. Stop being authentic. So how do I be authentic? Well, I am the detailed, constant expander. So the lack of detail, that means broad, fluff. Constant, that means I'm hidden and missing. Expanding, the opposite of that is detracting, staying hidden. So my job is to be my true authentic self. But I don't do that because I have feelings. So what I do, Grand Theft Auto. I'm the control in the game. You go around, you do all this, you don't feel shit. You go out and you just play the game. The character dies, what you do? You know, restart the game. Let's go again. Zoom, give me another car. Let's go get some more stuff. Let's go rob, kill, pillage. You know, have sex on top of picnic benches. They do crazy shit in Grand Theft Auto. That's the way the world is. The world is exactly like Grand Theft Auto 5. But you got feelings. But the people who play the Grand Theft Auto game, they don't have feelings. The character does. But the controller and the player does not. So don't be the character. Don't be the controller. Don't be body. Don't be soul. Be spirit. Because spirit is the animating principle of the controller, the soul, and the character, the body. So your character is a body. Your controller is your soul. But the person sitting in the chair that's running the whole show, that's the mother beat spirit. So the Bible says, walk in the spirit. And they say shit about the soul or the flesh. But the Bible says if you walk in the flesh, you will reap the rewards of the flesh. Y'all know the fruit of the flesh and the fruit of the spirit? Which one do you want to manifest? Well, I've been on both sides of the coin, homie. I can tell you straight up. You want to be on the side of the Spirit. Trust and believe that. Now, you want to go on out there and try to scrape your head off against the brick wall, but do you, boo? But I recommend, if you are an Aries, that you go back to being a charming achiever. If you're a Taurus, you're the stabilizer. So the act of stability is instability. That's the opposite. So you're not financially unstable, you're mentally unstable, everything is unstable. So what do? You got to stabilize it. How do you stabilize it? You don't have to do it, you got to see it. See, make sure you understand something. The most important thing in your life is the plan comes from the vision. Like the word provisions, the word provisions has the word vision in it. That means God never give you the vision without giving you the provisions. What does that mean? That means that God never tell you to do something without giving you the ability to do it. What does that mean? That means that if God gave you the title, if you're an Aries, your title is a charming achiever. That means you got all of the attributes and characteristics to be very charming and to achieve a lot of shit, get shit done. If you are a stabilizer of Taurus, that means that you are unstable because you don't have a clear image of your stability. You're still trying to get stability instead of just saying, I am stable. That's all you got to do. Because what you do when you say I am stable, you activate your stability. So it's about sight. It's about vision. My people perish because they have a lack of vision. Where there is no vision, people cast off restraint. So if you can't see, because remember, your strategy comes from your sight. That's the ability to see in the dark. What are we trying to see in the dark? The attributes and characteristics that's inside the DNA. Notice you have been given. It's dormant. You got to activate it with what? Willingness and enthusiasm. It's called inspiration in spiritus and entheos or enthusiasm. That activates the DNA. So if you're a Gemini, you are a witty change agent. That means that you like change. So if you go and you try to stay on the same job for 50 years and you're a Gemini, your life is going to suck because you're supposed to change. But you're supposed to do it very intelligently. So that's your strategy. If you're a Cancer, what is your strategy? Well, you're like the Holy Spirit. You're the comforter. So you're here to comfort others. That's your job. So everywhere you go, you should be comforting people. Because right now, you probably are discomfort to people. So what you do? Focus on and you manifest on where attention goes, energy flows. So where is your energy flowing? Well, that's where your attention is at. So put your attention on comfort and you will automatically start to comfort. If you're a Leo, you're the leader of the prize. But if you're a Leo, then that means that you are a follower of some sect. That means that you're a follower, you're not a leader. So if you're born in July the 23rd through August the 22nd, bam, you're a Leo. And Leos are leaders. So you got Leo the Lion. Then you're Virgo, which I touched on already, August the 22nd through September the 22nd. That means that you are a detailed, constant expander. Notice the word constant is in there and the word detailed. That's why I'm good at what I do. In fact, I'm so good, every job I've had, I got fired for doing that. Because I go in and I notice it. Every church I went to, I got there, and a week later I knew that the pastor was banging the usher, and the choir director was gay, and he was sleeping with the drummer. And people who've been in church for 30 years didn't see it. And I walk in there and say, I can't go around people. I see right through them. Now they got everybody that's fooled, but you can't fool me, bro. But it's a gift. So I just play along just to get along. But when it comes to getting paid, then I must produce detailed, and it must be constant. That's why I'm always pumping out content, and it must always be expanding. That's what I do for a living. That's why I get paid. So everybody can get paid if you do this. If you're a Libra, you're a balancer. So you're here to create what? Balance. Primarily emotional balance, which is different from stabilizing. Stabilizing is external. Balancing is internal. So Libras, you're here to establish internal balance. My daughter's a Libra. And I tell her all the time, I say, Sade, your whole life depends upon you not falling for the okie doke. She calls me all the time, Dad, that's it. I'm not feeling it. I don't buy it. She be right ready to go off. No, all of this, Sade. Who put what, who, when, and it's always external. Always. Somebody push her button. Because that's her meal ticket. She gets paid when she creates harmony in her head. When the electricity and the magnetism controls her body or her ocean, she gets paid. Everybody, she's a magnet. But the moment that her mentals are off, she starts losing money. Because that energy goes, especially with her clientele. She's up there with the rich white folks in Dallas. So I told her when she moved up there, you sure you want to go up there? With Becky and Sue. And if you go up there, you got to play the game. Because you got to realize where you're at. And so everybody that's a balancer, you got to be able to balance. And I think you got to be able to walk that tightrope. But that comes easy for you. Because you have the ability to do what? Shake them haters off. Shake them haters off. Scorpio, we already talked about, the patient achiever. So if you're a Scorpion, instead of stinging everybody, the way that you achieve, but notice Aries is the charming achiever, and Scorpio, the Scorpion, is the patient achiever. It's very interesting that you could use charm and get paid. But most people don't know how to do it. It's really interesting because really, if I'm 100% honest, I should be an Aries. But I love details more than I love charm. But charming is like, it's like, damn, I can't remember not charming. But you know the word charming? You know what charm means? It means the expression of magic power. Charm means chanting or reciting magic. Damn. So that means an Aries, when they speak, their language creates good fortune. Their image and their voice is an amulet. Amulet. Now, so that's totally different from the Scorpio. And this is huge because we're taught, and well, I was always taught that was bad, especially if you're a woman. Because an let you am. That is a thought, usually some type of an object, jewelry, that is thought to get a protection. That's an amulet. That's why Aries has this power, because they have this protection. But what happens? They all get damaged at a very, very, very early age. So they don't see their voice or their image as power. And then you go to the Scorpion, what happens to them? Well, they lose their patience. And then they just like their predecessor, the Aries, they lose their ability to achieve. See, the ability to achieve means very specific. The word achiever comes from the word achieve. And the word achieve means you are able to reach a level, but it has to be specific. So what is the catch line for both Aries All the Aries I know, all the Scorpios I know, my wife's mom is a Scorpio. I tell her all the time. We both in the same field. She has a doctorate degree in Christian counseling. She's the mother of a church. Been there for 40 years. She's known over the entire diocese. She has thousands of people who come to her and ask her for advice. She's never had a job. She's never had her own money. And when we talk, one of the things we talk about is she hates the fact that she has to go to her husband, even though, you know, he gives her money, but it's an allowance. So I pay for her nails and her feet. And I pay for my wife's nails and her feet. I think they go every other week. One week they do nails, the next week they do feet. Since we've been married, I've been paying for her nails and her feet because her husband won't do it. And she don't have no money. Can somebody explain it to me? Now we've had this every time we go on our family vacations. She's my mother-in-law, so I was like, why would you limit yourself to what? I mean, I get it, but I'm like, you can do exactly what? Well, she has no belief in herself. That's why the devil get everybody. We're not even talking about why. Y'all already know why. The church. Apostolic. Y'all just Google it. You don't know anything about the apostolic religion. What's the point? There's no way, based upon her numbers, I did her report, sit down to her, the same thing I did with my wife, with some of my family members, all my kids, they didn't have a choice. Some of my brothers and sisters, I just gave it to them, and if they read it or not, nobody cares. What's the point, Doc? What's the point? The point is, like I said at the beginning of the show, I'll say it again, in case y'all missed it. Nobody that's listening to the sound of my voice has a problem. What we fail to understand is that everyone born on this planet has a birthright. That shit's in your body. Your birthright is wealth. Your birthright is health. Your birthright is wisdom. Your birthright is great relationship. Every spiritual being, human beings, I don't know about y'all, but every spirit, if you got a spirit, every spiritual being has the internal Christ lunar germ seed oil sitting in the base of the coccyx bone and your spinal cord or the cerebrum. And every 30 days, 28.5 exactly, it is pumped up, and you got an opportunity to unleash and activate the pineal gland based upon the biology of the body. It ain't got shit to do with your body, although it's in there too. But what's the point, Doc? You don't believe in yourself, or you're part of a religion that don't know shit about biology. I wish it was not so, but it is. Let's get back to the chart. Where did we left off? We left off with the scorpion. So no Scorpios. I tell my mother-in-law all the time. You gotta be patient. And it don't take all of that. Jesus got me. Okay. But I'm paying for your nails, but Jesus got you. Oh, okay. That's what we doing? Then Sagittarius, the life partaker. I love that one. Why? Sagittarius, November the 22nd. My daughter, Sheree, she's a Sagittarius. She's born in November. It's crazy because when the shit hits the fan, when it hit the fan with my daughter transitioned, her little sister died, my daughter Sheree immediately did this. She was gone for an entire year. Where did she go? Life partaker. She went to partake in life. because that's her natural reset. Sagittarius, life partaker. Then we got the Capricorn. Capricorn is the climber, as we mentioned before. And climber is another way of saying overachiever or achiever. So you're able to climb, and by climber, what that simply means is that that's a person that's able to overcome extreme, hostile environments, or tall, as we use that term, obstacles. Usually, though, it's vertical. So when you understand that the Capricorn has to stay vertical. All Capricorns I know, they're not vertical, they're horizontal. They can attack problems on a horizontal level, but they cannot solve problems on the vertical level. That's the problem. See, if you look at each one of the words, it's specific. Each one of the words. We went all the way back. Remember, every word, because remember, words establishes your world. So your negative habit pattern is the opposite of those words. That's why you can't get out. If you look at the words I'm saying, when I was poor, I had no detail. I was very broad. I wasn't constant. I didn't do shit constant. And I wasn't expanding on things that already exist. I was trying to come up with something brand new. The moment I start to do what loves me more than doing what I love. See, I don't necessarily love detailed constant expansion. Not really. What do I love? I love helping people. I get the most dopamine release by giving. I have a very big heart. I'll be giving away money like it's no tomorrow. And I have to watch myself. Because I really, really, really love seeing, like when I see those TikTok videos with Shaquille O'Neal, that me and him have in common. He's a gentle giant. That's who's always paying for other people's stuff. Like I tell you, everywhere I go, I can go and buy, go out to eat and get a $20 meal and I leave a $100 tip. Why? Because seeing the joy, the excitement on, especially somebody who I know that could benefit. If it's somebody that's, got money and arrogant and cocky, got they nose up their butt, But to find somebody, that really values it and really just that, man, I don't know nothing better. I really honestly don't. I would like, I would rather do that all day. Just travel around the world and just bless people, just help people. I just go to the poorest part of the town and just, buy people houses, give out cars, just bless people, especially people who are they're trying and then, but it's just shit's not working. That's what I would rather. But that's not how I get paid. So if I did that, I'd be broke. Why? That's not why I'm here. So the problem is most people, they're doing shit that they ain't supposed to be doing. That causes problems. So even though I love to give, giving doesn't love me back. So what I got to do? What I'm designed by God. Remember, Jesus came down here. He had a bunch of shit he wanted to do too. But he was here supposedly to die for the sins of the world, right? So what happened? He said, Garden of Gethsemane, not my will be done, but your will. W-H-E-E-L. You must study for the time. What's the point, Doc? The point is you have to be able to see and recognize your own self in the dark. You can't be being someone else so long that you lose sight of yourself. That's why the Capricorn is so important, because it is a climber. And then the Aquarius, we mentioned before, out of the box. So you already know all Aquariuses that are not successful, they're in the box. You already know. Just look at the words. Last but not least, Pisces, the intuitive visualizer. So what's the opposite of that to keep you poor and in the box? We went through every zodiac sign twice. Now everybody knows your story, your struggle, and your strategy for success. So nobody can tell me, Doc, I've given you your strategy. The strategy is, the last one is Pisces, the intuitive visualizer. So that means all Pisces are not intuitive. They're not listening to their gut, and they're not visualizing. They have no image in their head. So what's the strategy? The strategy is to block out the world and only listen to your gut and create an image of your highest desire fulfilled and only see that. Only. But what about reality, Doc? Bump reality. Only immerse your brain in your solutions, not your problems. No Pisces is doing that I know. Do you? That's why they got problems. So I've just given everybody their strategy. So nobody can say, Doc, I do not know what I should be doing. I do not know my strategy. See, the only reason that you're not successful right now, you got your story, you got your struggle, but you don't have a strategy for success. You got a strategy for failure. That shit's called Groundhog Day. That's the shit you've been doing since birth. So what you got to do is take those 3 words that I've given everybody, because you're doing the dark side of it. I got out by being a detailed constant expander. That's why I got out of prison. How do I stay out of prison? I put all of my attention, because energy flows where attention goes. So God sends people to me all the time to test me. Hey, Doc, let's go over here and do this, brother. What is he doing? And let me close with this, because I'm getting a little excited. I don't want to start yelling and screaming and preaching, because, J Money don't like when I start preaching, y'all. I see J Money's little video out. I see you, J Money. You see J Money trying to sing a little R&B, y'all. I ain't mad at you, J Money. He's puffing on the cigar. Y'all seen the video? Go ahead, J Money. Don't hurt him, J Money. Don't hurt the ladies. Don't hurt the ladies, J Money. Don't hurt them, man. Say something for us, bruh. Say something for us. J Money trying to get all the digits out. Go ahead, J Money. Nah, but for real though, hey, proud of you, J Money, man. That video was good, bro. I like that song too, man. I like that song. I ain't mad at you, bro. I see you. So the intuitive visualizer. The intuitive visualizer. Y'all, if y'all ain't seen J Money, y'all give J Money some love, man. Go check out his YouTube channel. TikTok. I don't know the name of the TikTok video, but what is it? J Money, I'm assuming. So what's the point, you guys? Like I said, let's close with the smoking gun. I wish this wasn't true, but it is true. The intuitive, we left off with the Pisces, the intuitive visualizer. So if I'm talking to you, I know that you're not listening to your gut, and you don't have an image in your brain that is so powerful that you cannot stop thinking about him, her, it, they, whatever. So you need a new image. Everybody on this call, if you just take those 3 words that I just gave you, that align with your star seed, we call it the constellation, or astronomy, or zodiac sign. Don't get your panties in the water, because there's people coming out against numerology, and there's people coming out against, the Bible's always been against the Mazarut, even though there's thousands, well not thousands, there's a lot of scriptures in the Bible, especially the book of Job and the book of Genesis, that talks about the Mazarut, which is a cosmology. So planets are used because they are amplifiers, they're amulets. So a frequency comes from God, it hits the planet, it's amplified, or it's dumbed down, and then it hits your body. So the planets, I'm from Virgo. Now you don't have to necessarily know that's the the Draconian star system. So you got to know whether it's, this star system or that star system. You can, but you can't pay your light bill with that knowledge. So that's why I don't teach it. I only teach it that I can apply to my real life, so I can be a better father and I can be a better provider. I can have more wisdom. I can make sure that my kidneys are popping, that my heart is working, that I'm not like Kevin Samuels going to go out drinking no damn Red Bulls and you got high blood pressure. Well, you know that. Why would you do that? Why? And it's crazy because, I mean, I didn't know dude had high blood pressure. Now, again, supposedly, that could be a lie, too. Down the coach could have bumped his ass off. Who knows? What's the point? The point is, you can't be doing shit that violates universal spiritual law. You just can't. Now, you can, but you're not going to be successful. So today's message, again, is only for people who are on the narrow road. This show is for part 2 of NARROWCASTING. So what I just gave you is what you need to know, what you need to expand, and what you need to live. If I got $100,000, if you do this for the next 30 days and your life doesn't change. If you do what I just described, go back and listen to the show again. I'm going to post it on YouTube for free. I was going to turn it into a U-book about stuff, but, you know, like, I'm going to give this to you for free. Because if you go back and listen to part 1, where we talk about narrow casting versus broadcasting, if you want to throw in the show that we did last night on GTA 5, so you can understand that you must think like you are a 3D character. I recommend 9, but let's just go with 3. You must think as somebody who's 3D. 3D means even though you are emotionally invested, you know that there is not going to be any type of a physical or spiritual harm. Meaning, karma doesn't affect you. Why? Because everybody in the game is there by consent. Karma doesn't affect you if the person that you pissing on, love bombing, and gaslighting is there by consent. And since everybody is there by consent, this is what karma don't. I could do. Man, I've done some shit that y'all wouldn't believe. And ain't shit happen. It never will happen. Why? Because everybody I supposedly did harm to, they was there by consent. Nobody put a bullet to nobody's head and say, I was married for 25 years in my first marriage. Nobody told her to stay. When we talk, she was like, she told the kids all the time, yeah, I should have left the sorry ass, you know, when he first cheated, when Sade was born. Okay, you should have. But you didn't. Why? I'm kind of glad she didn't because I had 4 children came after that. But she should have left me before because she knew I didn't want to get married. So nobody on this call is having shit happen to you that you ain't co-signing. That's a hard truth, man. Because if you really look at your life, everything that has happened to you, you gave your consent, knowingly or unknowingly. So now that you will have that knowledge, guess what? Now, do not give your consent. How? Take out your energy. And guess what will happen? Your attention, your lack of attention will cause that person, place, or thing to disappear. As I told you guys before, shit, don't do the shit I used to do. Pack your shit and leave. Shit, that's a waste of money. All you gotta do is what? Put your attention elsewhere. Guess what? They'll leave you quickly too. I ain't talking about no shit I read of a book. All you got to do is put all of your focus, discipline, and order on establishing a clear image that is telling you something. That's all I got an image in my head and it's talking to me. I don't know what y'all got. I got images in my brain, and those images is telling me something. What y'all got? Y'all need some more images. Your images in your head, they should be talking to you. When you get the right image, trust and believe, it'll talk to you. This your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33. I'll see you guys later on tonight. God bless.